Hey guys, so with Trading212 sort of opening up to the world again, I thought I would do a little sort of review and overview of the platform. So if you're looking for a new investment broker for the year, then certainly one to consider. If you're interested in signing up, of course there is a referral link in the description below. You can sign up and get free share if you use that link, and I'll get a free share as well. See what you get. It might be good, might be not, but yeah, feel free to use that link. They produce this little table here, which is sort of quite handy just for comparing fees and that sort of thing. So they put Hargreaves Lansdown right here next to them. I think partly just to sort of make themselves look good. It's a little bit flattering to them. So you've got like instant orders, free and unlimited, of course. Hargreaves Lansdown charge sort of $11.95 a trade, which doesn't make them very competitive. Over on the right hand side, you've got free trade, which I guess is their sort of main competitor. Some of these figures are a little bit out of date now. Free trade have sort of made some changes to the platform that a lot of people aren't particularly happy with, so it's even slightly worse than this. But yeah, so the ISA is free with Trading212, and sort of £3, I think it's £5 a month now with free trade. So they've got that going for them. No markups on the spread. That's not really allowed in the UK. They've put foreign exchange fees none on this table. I think it's an old table before the FX fees were introduced, so we'll come back to that. Stock selection is very good, sort of nearly up there with Hargreaves Lansdown, really. I think they've got over 10,000 now. ETFs as well, pretty good. Fractional shares, you almost forget that companies like Hargreaves Lansdown don't actually offer fractional shares. So, yeah, you can buy sort of small amounts of very expensive stocks. You had sort of Amazon and Google, for example, were over $2,000 before they did their stock splits. So if you wanted to buy sort of a couple £100 maybe of one of those stocks, it wasn't possible on sort of platforms like Hargreaves Lansdown. But yeah, Trading212 and free trade only for the US have always offered sort of fractional amounts of those shares, which is pretty good. And yeah, they offer sort of a number of markets that some of the others don't. So you can buy sort of shares directly on the German and French exchange and that sort of thing. So that's quite good. Yeah, and they've got a web application which Free Trade have now sort of introduced as a premium feature, which seems a little bit strange. It's not really a premium feature. You would have thought it would be there from the beginning, but yeah, so that's sort of a general comparison with some of the competition. So just a quick look at their sort of homepage. They sort of say they have 1.5 million clients now, which they have had for a while because they shut down for a little while due to overwhelming demand. £3 billion in client assets, which is pretty good. The bigger brokers like sort of Hargreaves Lansdown, I think, have closer to £50 billion in assets. So Trading212, I guess, are trying to take a piece of that, which is fair enough. Pies we'll come back to when I look inside the platform. Yeah, invest as little as £1 on fractional shares. And then, yeah, so just to sort of say they are FCA, Financial Conduct Authority regulated, and FSCS, Financial Services Compensation Scheme, protected up to £85,000. So that's for the cash side of things, and then the sort of stocks are obviously held in client segregated accounts, and yeah, that would be a little bit different if anything were to happen to them. They sort of backed up by interactive brokers on the back end, so yeah, it's not quite as simple as you would just get £85,000. You would have to sort of probably go back to interactive brokers, but yeah, that's the sort of protection side. And of course, you can invest in a stocks and shares ISA, which is the main thing most people are going to want to do. Keep yourself free from capital gains tax and dividend tax, and 24/7 support on a sort of web chat service, which is quite good. And so you've got the three platforms, sort of general investment accounts, stocks and shares ISA, and then probably to be avoided by most people is the CFD side. So this is contracts for difference, generally where sort of most people end up losing their money, trading, as they say, with leverage and sort of shorting stocks, sort of betting on stocks going down and that sort of thing. This is the sort of the risky side, and essentially this side, sort of people losing a lot of money and paying a lot of fees, is what keeps the invest and ISA side so cheap and commission free. So some people will think there's a bit of a moral issue on that, but it's up to you really. Just a quick look at some of the more sort of specific fees. So you've got a deposit fee now when using credit and debit cards. So this is one to be sort of avoided, I would say, by most people. You can deposit £2,000 worth using sort of credit or debit cards or Google or Apple Pay, and then after that you'd be charged 0.7% on every transaction. So would say sort of try and get into the habit of doing general sort of bank transfer. It's very good. Sort of they do instant bank transfers up to sort of a limit generally with your bank, or sort of general bank transfers, which can sort of take, you know, an hour or two, or sort of up to a day, obviously if you're doing it on a weekend, for example. But yeah, if you can put up with that sort of time delay, then it's always best to be doing general bank transfer to avoid these fees. So your ISA subscription limit obviously is £20,000 per year, same as any other ISA, which is good. And you've got the currency conversion charge, which is new, also called an FX fee or a foreign exchange charge. If you see it on other platforms, you won't often see it on other platforms. They do tend to sort of hide it a little, but 0.15% of a trade of a foreign stock, for example. So if you buy any UK stock, you're not going to pay this, but any sort of US stocks that you're buying, you'll pay 0.15% of the trade amount when you buy and sell. So this is amongst the lowest in the industry. Free trades is 0.45%. I don't know if they show that on the table here. Yes, this was sort of no FX fee, but Hargreaves Lansdown is 1%. And yeah, I think some of the other brokers are sort of generally more. Nobody is currently as cheap as Trading212, except Interactive Brokers, which do charge a very low fee, but they have sort of trading fees, and so it's not commission free for the majority of stocks. So overall, I would still say Trading212 is the sort of best value on fees. No commission charges at all, as they say. So that's pretty good. And so then let's have a look around the platform itself. So you can have it in light and dark mode, just as a sort of a quick look. I tend to have it in dark mode, but you've got the sort of account value up the top. This is me sort of logged into my ISA. They give you a nice sort of quick view of any sort of free cash that you've got available and your portfolio value, and they sort of put that in a little pie chart. They show you how much of the ISA of this year that you've used. So you've got out of £20,000 for the year. I've currently used £3,300, so it'll give you just sort of a little progress bar on how much you've got until sort of 6th of April 2023 for this year. So that's pretty good. And you have your current sort of portfolio value on a little graph. You can sort of see from various different time frames. You can see the invested amount here. Sort of you can scrub back over various points in time, and it'll tell you how much you had invested at that point, and sort of the current return. Obviously, a lot of this is down with the poor sort of stock performance over the last year, but we'll get there. So yeah, that's quite a nice sort of view. And then down here you have your sort of current investments. So this sort of shows all of your individual holdings, which is a nice little view, and you can sort of get the more detailed view on the right here. So Digital Realty Trust, for example, you can see sort of the individual stocks performance over various time frames. You can go into the advanced charting if you really like that sort of thing. It's not really for me, the sort of technical analysis side. You can put various sort of lines and moving averages and indicators and that sort of thing. I'm not really all that keen on technical analysis, so I don't tend to use that, but it seems okay. If you like sort of trading view and that sort of thing, you may want to use this from within the app. But yeah, so you've got your sort of buy price here and sort of the current price that it would be selling for if you want to sell, and the sort of current return. If you click the little eye, you can see that broken down into gain or loss on the stock and the FX impact. So this sort of tells you how much of that return is being affected by the fact that obviously my account is in pounds and this stock in particular is in dollars. So sort of part of that has been the pound weakening. So 3%, 3.96% up on the stock, even though the share price is actually down. So nice little breakdown for them to give you, and just sort of reinforce why you're actually making or losing money sometimes. And then they'll give you sort of a little bit of detail on the company, sort of CEOs and that sort of thing. And then key ratios, I wouldn't pay too much attention to some of these key ratios. They can be sort of a little bit out of date. They get the data from elsewhere, and you can sort of dive into these. But I would try and sort of get your information from somewhere else, to be honest. I tend to just sort of use them as a platform to buy and sell, and get the sort of information from elsewhere. Similarly with the sort of financial summary, they'll give you sort of revenue and net income and that sort of thing, but I just find this better to sort of either look at the companies individually on their sort of earnings reports and that sort of thing, so you get the most up-to-date data, or sort of looking at somewhere like Yahoo Finance to give you a sort of little bit more of a breakdown. But if you want to see sort of a quick glance, and it's sort of generally the bigger companies are going to be a little bit more accurate, then yeah, you can look at this for a quick look, and it'll sort of give you right at the bottom here your history in this particular stock. So obviously I've not bought any in a little while, but you can sort of see your previous dividends. So every quarter, say, with this stock, you get a little dividend, and yeah, it'll tell you sort of how much you get, withholding tax, because this is a US stock, so you get withheld a little bit of tax on the dividend, and yeah, just a little bit of sort of info about that dividend, which is quite handy. And at the bottom here you can have a little breakdown of your current holdings, sort of from largest to smallest. They don't actually allow you to sort of sort the view by that. It's always in alphabetical order, which is fair enough, I suppose. And they give you this just as a breakdown of sort of where your money is invested. So could have been maybe done a little bit better, but I guess they're always working on it. And then you have the pies feature, which is quite new. This has been sort of around for the last year, I believe. So you can sort of put various holdings into a pie and then invest in the pie, and it will distribute your money between those holdings. So I created a little pie of 28 stocks, for example, and you can sort of say add, £200, and it'll distribute your £200 between all of these stocks without you having to sort of buy them individually. So that's quite nice. This pie is available for other people if you want to take a look. There's a link in the description, just as sort of my general holdings. I hold basically all of these in my invest account, and yeah, it's sort of just a nice way of investing in sort of a number of companies regularly without having to sort of buy them all, 28 at a time if you want to just do a monthly investment, say. So let's have a look at buying and selling a stock. So if you come to sort of one of your existing holdings, say Sylvania Platinum here, you can go to sort of sell some if you like. So you can do either a number of shares or a value. So you can say sort of sell, £100 worth, and they'll say you're selling 116 shares, or you can say sort of sell a number of shares. So you might want to sell 100 shares, and that is £86 worth. And then you can either, so that would be at the market price. Generally for larger stocks, it'll execute sort of almost immediately at the sort of buy or sell price that they're indicating. For smaller stocks, it might take a little while. But if you want an exact price, then you can sort of set limit orders. So you can say, I want to buy 100 shares, but I only want to pay exactly sort of 90p. And yeah, you can set those prices and say sort of, I will just sit there until it reaches that price, and then you'll get sort of exactly that price. And you have sort of various other options, stopped orders and stop limit orders if you want to use that type of thing. But I tend to just sort of certainly for the bigger shares, just do a market order. And yeah, so if you were to say buy, let's look at buying 10 shares of Sylvania Platinum for £9. Go to review order, and it gives you a little summary of the buy. So 10 shares at 90p, no commission. They'll say this every time, I think, just to remind you that it's no commission, for a total of £9. That is because there's no other charges, because this is not a FTSE listed company. So for FTSE companies such as Tritax Big Box, if we say buy, 5 shares, say, for £9.59, then you'll notice the stamp duty reserve tax, which you'll pay with any broker, should be exactly the same, but so you would pay 5p in stamp duty reserve tax on that order. And then if we look at a foreign stock, so say Vici Properties, you could say buy sort of 0.3 shares of Vici Properties. So as you say, you can buy the sort of fractional, however much you're looking to buy. Let's say 0.3 shares, then come to review order, and yeah, you're going to see the number of shares, still commission free, no stamp duty because it's a foreign stock, but you'll pay the previously mentioned FX fee, so 0.15% of the trade value, which here is 1p. Obviously doesn't make a huge amount of difference on sort of smaller orders, but it'll add up over time. So if I were to say look to sell my £2,000 worth of, or 63 shares of Vici, then the FX fee is slightly larger, £2.69. But for sort of £1,800 holding, not really too bad. And with other brokers, it would be much larger. So Hargreaves Lansdowne, for example, with their 1% fee, that would be £17.95 plus the trading commissions. So yeah, overall, it still does work out very cheap. You've also got the search feature, obviously, for looking for any new stock. So you can search just sort of whatever you like. If you want to buy Apple stock, you can just search for that and sort of open up their particular stock and sort of look to buy or look at the chart or whatever you like. Look at fundamentals and that sort of thing. Or you can sort of use their little filters here. So you've got sort of stocks in categories, growth stocks, dividend stocks, and that sort of thing. But you can come down to sort of browse all and view it by country. So you can go to US stocks, for example, go into technology, and even then into semiconductors, for example, and they'll sort of give you a list of the popular stocks first, sort of Nvidia and Intel, Micron, and that sort of thing, and then sort of after that they give you pretty much all of them in alphabetical order. So not too bad, and there's some more sort of filters that you can filter them by, sort of price, for example, or country, or stock exchange type. Generally, if you're looking at stocks, this is just going to give you stocks, and ETFs, it'll just say ETFs, so it's not particularly sort of useful filter there, but yeah, there's a few sort of extra filters. Looking on the sort of ETF side, there's a little bit less of a breakdown really on these, so you've got like equity funds, and then there's just hundreds and hundreds of them, so that's not particularly useful. But you can search them again and sort of use the price filters and that sort of thing. You kind of have to know what you're looking for though, using the search on here. So you may want to sort of use other screeners and other sort of methods for finding a stock or ETF that you're looking for. But yeah, the search isn't too bad. And if you come up to the top right bar, I've obviously hidden my name because this comes up with your email address here. But you can switch between the Invest and ISA accounts and CFD if you really want to. That's there as well. So you can just switch from ISA to Invest quite easily. So then it's now in my Invest account, and you get the sort of same layout, obviously different holdings and sort of a different portfolio value and everything. So it is separate accounts, but just under the separate tab. They have a little notification section here as well. Sort of they give you hot updates and that sort of thing, which I think is generally sort of trying to get you to trade. Obviously, they want you trading and making them fees. They don't make a huge amount of money for you just sitting, leaving your money there. So you do have to kind of ignore these sort of hot updates sometimes. But yeah, they'll sort of give you notifications about when you place orders or sort of receive dividends, which is quite handy. There doesn't seem to be a way to sort of filter out the things that you don't want, but yeah, that's just all part of it being commission free. And you can look in your sort of history, and you can get various sort of exported graphs. You can get an Excel file of your sort of total trades for a certain period, and you can sort of look at individual transactions, sort of orders, and you can look at all of your sort of previous dividends, and it sort of gives you totals at the bottom here. Yeah, so it's a reasonably useful sort of history tab. So if you have any questions on the platform or in general, certainly leave them in the comments below, and like and subscribe. See you soon.